And then somebody says, "Hey, let's go check out this trail right here. Come with me." What do we have to do? I said, "Well, we're just gonna run." I go, "Okay." And I discovered something amazing about that day. There's this thing called downhill trail running. It is so awesome. Have you ever tried it?
Sure.
Yeah. You know how great it is.
Yeah.
It was like the best exhilarating feeling in the world. Getting to run down hills and you felt like a little kid.
Yeah.
You're just jumping off of rocks and jumping over streams and just being so childlike. I was hooked. So hooked.
Amazing.
It was like that first drug you ever took, or that first slice of pizza. it was that addictive for me. I was just like, oh man, let's go do this again.
Welcome to the Trail Success Podcast.
Welcome to the Trail Success Podcast. Our goal here is to listen to and learn about trail running, gear, training, and inspiration. And something that might be a little bit unique about the Trail Success Podcast is while we are so impressed by and respectful of our pro trail running athletes, something that I find really compelling are everyday athletes who love the sport of ultramarathon and trail running and navigate, as we all do, a lot of challenges in training and managing work life and relationships and finding success in trail running for them. Trail success. What does that look like? What does it mean? And how do they do it? And so today we're super excited to have Michael Morales with us. Michael is a lifelong trail runner, ultra distance runner. We're going to get into some of that background and history. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about Michael's background and history. And one thing that is really exciting is that Michael is also an entrant in the upcoming Western States Endurance Race in about 8.5 days.
That's exactly right.
In about 8.5 days. And so we're going to learn a little bit about Michael's background, history, preparation for Western States, his vision for the day, and a little bit about what inspires him about trail running and who he inspires by doing what he does. So, Michael, welcome to the Trail Success Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Well, we're super grateful to have you here and are excited to learn a little bit more about you and learn about how you trail run and what it means to you. Do you mind telling us a little bit help us get to know you a little bit better? I've had a chance to learn a little bit about you, and we've met a few times before. But if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your history. Sure. And maybe your personal history and maybe some athletic history as well.
Well, let's first start off with, I'm a big fan of ultra running. Okay. I'm a fan of our ultra heroes. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm just I geek out on everything ultra running. So there's a lot that I'm just a fan of and very, very honored to be part of now. Yeah. So, I work in a construction background. I do construction management and estimating. So I sit behind a desk a lot, 8, 12 hours a day sometimes. And so my stress outlet has been running, starting in the morning, running, get all that stress out so I can focus on the day, go run at evening, get all that stress out of there. And that's what really keeps me, focused and grounded. Even when work gets really hard, I know I've done harder things in my life.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's basically what I do for a living. Now, what I do for enjoyment is I like to do hard things.
Interesting.
Hard things is what really motivates me. I like to test myself, test my limits, test my endurance, and I like to see some improvement. And I love to, just go out and see how far my whole body can last sometimes. Not very much sometimes, not very fast, but I always tell my friends that I got a superpower that I'm able to withstand pain for a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's my superpower. That, and I have the ability to burn 5,000 calories in any given run, and then gain it all back within 10 minutes.
Sure.
That's
blessing or curse.
That's my second superpower.
That's a really compelling concept of doing hard things. You think sometimes in the world today we sort of you see people seeking after leisure, relaxation. So you're sort of a contrarian in that idea of doing hard things. Is that part of your? Where did that come from? Has that always been part of your philosophy? Was that something you learned early in life? Did you adopt it as an adult? And why?
Well, I'm scared of death of two things. I used to be over 350 pounds.
You're kidding.
I used to be diabetic. I used to have all the horrible things of being overweight, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high everything. And I was borderline of, on my deathbed at times when the doctor said, "You, sir, need to notify your next of kin because you have not very long to live because you're headed for a heart attack." And that just sunk me so low so that's what motivates me every day to get out there and do things that are just going to benefit my my health.
Yeah.
So once I figured out I don't want to die, kind of just snowballed effect, and that's the one thing that motivates me the most is I don't want to ever be that person again. I want to keep moving forward and always move forward because I'm scared to death of that.
Yeah, that is remarkable. And what an experience that you were in that moment and you decided to make a change.
Yeah, it took a long time to make that change, to get from that person to this person. It took a lot of time, a lot of years, a lot of dedication, a lot of changing your lifestyle, changing your friends, changing your whole mentality, changing everything about you. It was my number one factor of wanting, is getting out there and getting after it every day.
Was that that sort of moment of realization? Was there one kind of message that really resonated with you about wanting to change? And had you been an athlete before that time, or was that a new or an activity that?
No, I've always been pretty healthy until early 90s. I got into some hardcore drugs.
Okay.
At horrible point of my life, but it was a small point of my life. So I substituted that for tacos.
Okay.
Which is
a better option.
Better, but not the greatest.
Able consequences.
So yeah, I went from that to donuts and pizzas and tacos.
Yeah.
And then you just that whole substituting one addiction for another just really just hurt everything about me.
Yeah.
And like I said, that doctor's appointment just said notify your next of kin because you don't have very much long to live. Blood pressure was through the roof. Diabetes was, off the charts.
Yeah.
Just you could hear me coming from a mile away. Breathing was so labored. So yeah, that's basically what motivated me.
Was that in your 20s? Kind of.
That was in my
frame where you're at in your life.
Well, in my 30s.
Your 30s.
Yeah, so in my 30s, all my 30s, and then all my 40s, kind of got myself out of that.
Yeah.
And got more physical.
Okay.
Now that I'm in my 50s, I'm kind of like, feeling feeling like in the best shape of my life. Really.
That's remarkable. That's remarkable. Had you had any sort of athletic experience as a kid, as a teenager, before you went down a path that was maybe moving you further away from athletics, or was it new to adopt an athletic lifestyle in your 40s?
I was a skater kid growing up. You know, we skated around Hollywood, skated around our local streets. I was just a skater punk.
Yeah.
And just love the outdoors, love skating, love just hanging out, friends, and just we rode everywhere on our bicycles. You know, 30 miles would be like just a fun little ride. We would ride from like maybe our house down to the beach, which I lived in Southern California. So like Seal Beach is probably 45 miles away. So we would just, we would go ride there and then ride back home.
Full day. It'd take you
full
couple
day.
hours each direction, 2 or 3 hours each direction.
Yeah, didn't tell our parents.
They thought you were down the street.
They thought we were just hanging out at kids, but no, we rode our bikes down the riverbed to Seal Beach, go boogie board for the full day, and then get home by 11 o'clock at night. Hired. Full day. And probably lived on like $2 a day for pizza at the beach.
Exactly.
Which was
do you think that, I mean, that was 4-6 hours of activity. That's like a 50K right there. Do you think there was anything in the back of your brain that, hey, I've exercised for hours on end, and it just was probably a joy just to be with your buddies?
It was a joy to be able to do that. I mean, it didn't feel labored.
Right.
It didn't feel labored because you're just riding with your friends. You're going off jumps, and you're just seeing who can go the fastest, and just really, getting after it. But it didn't feel like, this is a trainer, or this is what I'm training for. It wasn't training. It was just fun times of being kids. And, like I said, 7, 8, 9 hours a day skateboarding or riding bikes or just enjoying being outside. Back when kids used to go outside every day.
Yeah.
That was fun to us.
That's awesome.
We didn't like coming home.
Yeah. Going from sort of that joyful experience with all your buddies riding your bikes down to the beach to maybe what sounded like a little bit darker time in your life, was there something that changed there that maybe had you take a little bit different path than kind of that what sounded like a real joyful experience, and then face some challenges in your 20s?
I just think I got into some bad relationships,
Sure.
Set of friends. They weren't motivating. They were motivating in the wrong direction.
Got it.
And it was just not it was a dark time for me, which I don't talk about very much because it was another life.
Yeah.
It was a different me back then. Now I'm a more healthier and more energetic person, and more of a pleasure to be around.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us as you navigated that. Then you made some changes that led you towards enjoying food a little bit more. Then you had this experience with a doctor.
Yeah.
What were you thinking when you walked out of that doctor's office? What was maybe one idea or one change you implemented initially that sort of set you on this amazing curve to where you're at today, fittest time of your life?
I love that question because this was the initial start of where I'm at today. A friend, she was a friend of mine. She says, "Hey, do you want to come do this 5K for charity for to help breast cancer awareness?" I said, "What do I need to do?" "Nothing, just come run this 5K with us." "How much is the 5K?" "Well, it's like 3 miles." I said, "I can't run 3 miles." She says, "It's okay. We're all gonna be together. We're gonna enjoy the day. It's gonna be a great time." I said, "Okay." So I kind of like Googled how do I run a 5K?
Yeah.
What do I do to run a 5K? So I said, "Okay, I can do that." So the first day I said, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna actually do this." So I ran to the mailbox and back that day. It was awesome. I wasn't too tired. So I thought, well, tomorrow I'm going to go a little further. I think I'm going to go down to the big dog that barks down the street and come back. I did that. I ran to the big dog and I came back. I said, okay, I didn't die. I said, okay, how about tomorrow I try at least halfway around the block? Did that. So a month went by of me just doing a little bit all the time, little bit every day. By the time the Susan Coleman 5K for cancer race came in, I said, okay, let's do this. The gun started and it was an out and back, and I ran, and everybody was just cheering and laughing and just having so much fun. I couldn't believe how much all these people were cheering for you for running. So I got to the halfway point and I go, I'm not dead. This is awesome. I turned around. Granted, I wasn't going, 7-minute miles. That was probably a good 13-minute miles. But I made the turn around and people were just screaming their heads off along the course. Just, yay, go, 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 go. And I saw the big arch with the pink balloons, and they were saying, and I go, oh my gosh, that's the finish line. That's the finish line. I'm going to do this. And I crossed the finish line, and so many people were cheering and screaming and saying, great job, way to go, way to go. And I beat all my team members because they walked a little, but I beat all my team members. And this was one of the greatest moments of my life. That at the end of the race, they handed me this Susan Coleman t-shirt. And I got the t-shirt and I put it up to me. I go, oh, this is way too big. No, this is the size you wanted, 3X. I said, it was like a sheet. I had shrunk down so much in size from training for this 5K for a month of training that I lost like 50 pounds. Wow. And I wasn't that 3X anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, really? And I go, wow, this is awesome. So that 5K was just a springboard into more 5Ks that year, that into a 10K, that into a half marathon, into a marathon. And then somebody says, hey, let's go check out this trail right here. Come with me. What do we have to do? I said, well, we're just going to run. I go, okay. And I discovered something amazing about that day. There's this thing called downhill trail running. It is so awesome. Have you ever tried it?
Sure.
Yeah. You know how great it is.
Yeah.
It was like the best exhilarating feeling in the world. Getting to run down hills, and you felt like a little kid.
Yeah.
You're just jumping off of rocks and jumping over streams and just being so childlike. I was hooked. So hooked.
Amazing.
It was like that first drug you ever took, or that first slice of pizza. it was that addictive for me. I was just like, oh man, let's go do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that's amazing. That's amazing. So your first experience with trail, childlike, the downhill, the freedom. Was there something different about anything else about the difference between, you've done a lot of distance and races through this part of your history on the road, which is remarkable. What was different about, in addition to what you just shared, what about that experience on a trail was unique?
The thing about trails and the thing about road is I don't have to be fast on the trail. I have a lot of fast friends, fast friends on the roads that I always try to keep up with. Remember, I'm this fat kid. I've always had this mentality of this fat kid trying to run an 8-minute mile pace with all these guys that have been running for all their lives since high school. So I huffed and puffed trying to keep up with all my friends just at their pace. But when you get on the trails, it's more enjoyable. It's more conversational pace. It's more of a community and not so much gagging for air. It's really, you can just enjoy the time and the nature that, and the closeness. I mean, you can really learn about somebody's life full life story in a 2-hour trail run.
Yeah.
Than you can run with somebody that's running a 5K for, you just learn so much about that person for a few hours. You seem to get everything out of that. And I still have friends today that I've run maybe a race 10 years ago that we only ran maybe 5-10 miles together, and we're still like good friends. We still talk about that 2 hours we ran together, which, I started with road, just like pretty much everybody started with road. But once you found that dirt, I just become the most dirt loving person.
Mm.
After that initial ask by a friend, say, "Hey, want to come run?" I've never ran another road race in my life.
Really?
No. I mean, maybe a turkey trot here and there, but
Sure.
no marathons, no half marathons, no
Yeah.
10Ks, none of that. Every last 7-8 years, it's all been trail runs, all been trail races.
I've had similar experiences with people that I've run very short distances with. I'll see them for years afterward, and there's a unique connection there. Tell me about that. Sometimes it is the depth of the story that you kind of get to unpack while you're running together. Is there something else that you would attribute that to while you're running that brings that connection that you wouldn't experience otherwise?
I love it. There's this girl, Melissa, and Melissa and I ran her first ultra marathon, I don't know, 5 years ago. It was the Salmon Falls 50K, and this was the first time Melissa's ever ran an ultra before. And we were just like chit chatting for, I don't know, like 5-8 miles of just and until we separated probably at an aid station. But I always kept in touch with her either through Facebook or through Strava or something like that. And guess what? I saw her. I got to see her again on just a couple of weeks ago. I went to the Western State training run.
Yes.
And she was at one of the aid stations. She goes, "Oh my God, Mikey, it's so good to see you again." And she's run like hundreds, and she's run 100Ks, and she's run multiple 50Ks, and she's run all these distances. I said, "I remember where you on your first 50K." She goes, "Yeah, it's your fault."
So you paid it forward.
Yeah. Also, Melissa was Miss California.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And now she's run all these distances, and her first experience was with you.
Yeah.
Running in her first 50K.
First 50K.
That's remarkable. Have you found yourself? Are there others beyond Melissa that you feel like the way your friend invited you to the trail for the first time? Have you done the same thing for other people? Kind of introduce them to the sport.
I have every year on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, I host an end-to-end at Forest Park. I call it wobble after you gobble. Wobble after you gobble, really fat ass 50K.
Yeah.
And I always try to find somebody new. I said, "Come on, it's going to be fun. It's going to be, I'm not going to leave you. We're going to run this together. It's going to be," and the last 3 or 4 years that we've had it, I've always had somebody new running that 50K.
That's awesome.
And they've always they said, "Oh my God, this is like the best thing ever."
Well, you inspired me with that same sort of an invitation probably almost a year ago. I think we were both training for the Mountain Lakes 100, and you said, "Hey, one last big training run. I'm going to do end to end in Forest Park." For those of you who don't know, that's a park here in the Portland, Oregon area that has one trail from one end of the park to another. It's about a 50K, almost exactly.
If you're anywhere in Portland, if you're from Portland or Oregon, there is one iconic 50K to do here. It's the must do here in Portland.
Yeah.
It's the Forest Park Wildwood end to end.
And then it's remarkable. And I'd done end to end twice, and you said we should do end to end to end as a training run. I couldn't make it on a Saturday, so it was 100K. So the night before, because I had a commitment on Saturday, I went out and did it overnight. But you inspired me, and then you had hats made. I've got one up here, and I got a second one. That's my daily rider. But that was an inspiring experience for me. So you inspired me the same way you inspired others to take to that trail. So thank you for that, Michael.
That's a great hat, by the way.
It's a great hat.
My friend Tracy B made them for us. She made them for me.
Awesome.
She just made it. Hey, I asked her the night before. I said, "Hey, Trace," because she makes stuff like that. She said, "Hey, Trace, can you make some hats for us for this weekend?" She said, "How many do you want?" Give me 10.
Yeah.
The next day, she showed up knocking down my door. Says, "Here you go."
Well, I was super jealous because I saw the posts of all the people who joined you the next day, and they had hats, and I said, "Where can I get one of the hats?" Because I did the night before, not on the official workout, but the night before. And
I still got a bunch of them. I give them to people who do the because that's a big accomplishment too. And
it was a powerful experience and one that you inspired me to do. So thank you for that. So tell me about your trail history. You've I think I saw an ultra sign up somewhere around 40 ultra races. Does that sound about right? And probably many that maybe aren't on there. A lot of adventure days and things like that. But how many events do you think you've done over the past?
I've
7, 8 years. When was your first kind of ultra? Do you think that you did? I saw some stuff back like 2015.
Yeah, my first. I've done a few smaller ones, but my first ultra was the San Joaquin 50K.
Okay.
And I love that's where I fell in love with trail running on the San Joaquin River. It's a great area, and my friend Nate Moore, he race directs the San Joaquin running. It's kind of his own like running. It's kind of like Go Beyond but he puts on a lot of trail races there in Central California, and not only is Nate Moore a great race director, he's also my endurance coach.
Awesome.
He was my endurance coach for Western State training. So the San Joaquin 50K was just an iconic 50K that you gotta do. The weekend before that 50K, I did something. Well, didn't think it was crazy, but I ran the rock and roll half marathon.
Sure.
It was fun. Getting high fives from all the drunk people on the strip at night was super, super fun. Little kids, half naked girls, drunk guys. It was fun getting all those high fives. But one of those nasty little people got me so sick by high fiving them. The next day I was completely sick. Oh my God, I got the worst flu or something.
Yeah.
Had the flu all week, and the next week was my 50K. So sick for that 50K.
Yeah.
Just horribly sick, but I didn't stop. I finished it.
Amazing.
One of my longest 50Ks ever, but it was my first one. So yeah, I kind of grew up with trail loving at the San Joaquin River.
Amazing. And something about that experience had you thinking, I want to do more of these? Like you're fighting through it with an illness. What about finishing your first 50K? What had you thinking, I'm doing more of these versus that's it, I'm never doing one of those again?
And then after the 50K, I started reading about this amazing woman that has won all these races and how fast she was. And she was just like so determined. I started listening to all the podcasts of this woman, and she just really inspired me. And she was just like, kind of just like me. They didn't think of her very much. She was just kind of like timid, and she's very soft spoken. And but she has won all these great races, and her name is Ann Trayson.
Sure.
And I was just like the biggest Ann Trayson fan ever. I know everything about her, and she inspired me. And she says, well, her first big ultra marathon was American River 50, AR 50. I said, sure enough, I'm gonna go do AR 50.
Yeah.
So I did the study plan, and I ran the miles, and I got myself up there. And yeah, sure enough, I ran AR 50 miles. That was pretty. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. So as I start to learn more about Anne and how many times she's won this thing called Western States, I started reading more about Western States. It is just like this iconic race that she trained for, and she just loves so much that she just gave back over and over and over again. Now Anne has won at Western States. Well, she's ran Western States 16 times, finishing 14 times, and she's won it every year. Just for the females, she's won it every year except for the first 2 years, which she didn't finish, and they pulled her from the race at mile 90. Wow. 1 year. Anyways, I was just like, so I started reading more about this thing called Western States, and I go, oh my gosh, this thing is badass. This thing, and then the more people you talk about it, like people like you and other trail runners, goes, oh yeah, this is a dream race. This is our Boston.
Yeah.
I said, oh well, I don't have any desires ever to go to Boston, but yeah. So I said, well, how do I get there? How do you get there? He says, well, you have to qualify for it. Oh shoot, I'm not fast. Well, you got to be fast enough to finish a race.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. So, I found a qualifier.
How long ago was this?
I think it was 2017.
Okay. So 5 years ago.
Yeah, 2017. I found a qualifier, and it was not an easy one. It was a hard one, but it was one that Anne won, and she won outright, and I wanted kind of to be like Anne.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called Miwok 100K.
Okay.
I trained probably a good 6-7 months, just trained, and I got all my friends to train with me.
Awesome.
Hey, what are you doing Saturday? You want to go run 10 miles with me? Hey, what are you doing Saturday? Hey, I got a 14 miles. Come and do 9 with me.
Yeah.
And every Saturday, I got a little group together, and we went to go run. And that group got long. Those miles got longer and longer and longer. And some friends drop off, and some friends say, "Hey, I like running this far too. I'll come run with you again." Hey, have you heard about this other race called Quicksilver? You should check that out too. I said, Quicksilver, okay. So I mean, and then you just start to get more and more friends that like to run longer and longer distance, who like to push themselves further and further.
Yeah.
It wasn't about speed or pace. It was about hours.
Yeah.
Miles. And that's kind of the stuff that I kind of like too. So, oh, what you did 32 miles? Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing that somebody can run that far.
I love that you made it a social experience for you and all your friends. For folks who don't know, who are listening, what is the history of the Western States 100? Why is it the iconic trail race in the United States? Maybe in the world.
Well, I'm a big Western States buff too. So a lot of people know Western States Trail as the Tevis Cup. Tevis Cup is a 100-mile horse race that starts in Squaw Valley and ends in Auburn, 100 miles distance. So one year, this guy named Gordy Ainsley, of course, his horse gets sick a few days before the race starts. He goes, "Well, shoot, I'm still gonna run this race. I paid my money. I'm gonna get my money's worth.
Yeah.
And I just gotta. All I have to do is 3 miles an hour. I think I could do that." And sure enough, while other horses were dying that day and not finishing that race, he stuck to his 3 miles an hour and came in under 24 hours, being the first person, to finish Western States. And what's a great thing about too is every year, 369 people are eligible to run Western States. You have to have a qualifying race, but Gordy is the only one that bypasses the lottery every year.
Sure.
He doesn't have to put his name in the hat.
Yeah.
He gets that automatic entry.
And why 369? What's the magic of that number?
That's the year that the department gave permits out to run the Western States. There was 369 runners that year, so that was the magic number. Okay, we're going to give you 369 entries. That's all you're going to get.
Okay.
So no one ever thought, well, it's going to get bigger than 369.
It has.
It has.
And
huge.
So help us understand. So you mentioned qualifiers. Now, a qualifier gets you into what, and do 369 people come out of that experience? So why do you run a qualifier? What does that make you eligible for?
Well, in order to put your name in the hat for Western States, you have to run a qualifying race. You have to prove to them that, you're able to finish Western States.
Okay.
So 100K is not 100 miles. It's only 62 miles, but it's got to be hard enough 100K to equal the 100-mile Western States. And believe me, I think I've ran some pretty hard qualifiers. So you have to qualify in a certain amount of time. Like Miwok, I think it's under 16 or 17 hours. And you have to finish the race under that allotted time to get to put your name in the hat for Western States.
And by name in the hat, you mean that?
All over the world, people run qualifying races, and they all put their name in the hat. And on the first Saturday of December, they pull those names out of the hats.
So it's a lottery.
It's a lottery.
And is the lottery for 369 people or
No.
fewer than that?
Much fewer than that. So the top 10 males, the top 10 females ought to get automatic entries. That's where you get the M numbers
From the prior year.
From the prior year.
Yep.
That's where you get the M1 through 10, F1 through 10. And then each aid station gets to put their names in a hat.
Okay.
For the lottery. They also pull 5 names from the actual lotto drawing that first Saturday. You get 5 names. You could go buy a lottery ticket, and you get the 5 names. And then the sponsors get 1 or 2 entries for like Hoka is the sponsor.
Yep.
They get 1 or 2 entries, male, female. And then you also get these things called the golden tickets.
Tell us about those.
Golden tickets is these, just like Willy Wonka, you get the chocolate bar. It's usually less, probably like a 100K or 50 miler. Let's take, for instance, Lake Sonoma 50 milers. The top woman and men, the top 2 women, the top 2 men in that race will get automatic entries into Western States.
Yeah.
And they have like 10 or 15 golden ticket races.
Okay.
Yep. So
there's another 60 or 80 spots of the 369.
Correct. And like I said, Gordy gets automatic entry.
Automatic entry. How many available spots approximately in the lottery? Now, just for awareness, I still wonder if we don't title this podcast, I saw a trail running unicorn, right? So we'll talk about some of the odds there, but how many people actually how many spots are there in the lottery?
Like people who get
the number of race slots that that are remaining after the golden tickets, after the sponsors, after all the extra ads.
I think it's something like 200.
So
yeah, it's not very many.
Not very many.
It's not very many get that name out of the hat.
And I think if I remember right from this year, I've had a qualifier for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I remember right, there's some math equation.
So
is the number of tickets you get in the hopper that has, right? Something like that.
Correct. So like the first year you run it, you get 1 ticket.
Yeah.
And then it multiplies every year after that you don't get in. So first year you get 1 ticket. Second year you get 2 tickets. Third year you get 4 tickets. Mm-hmm. And that's where you're at right now. The
4 tickets this year.
Yeah.
I had 4 tickets this year.
Which next year you'll have 8 tickets and then 16. My friend Annie, this past December had 64 tickets. She's local here.
Yeah.
And she had 64 tickets. I was so wishing she got in, but next year she's going to have 124 tickets.
Yeah.
And we're all rooting for Annie to get in next year.
So that first day of December, they roll the big hopper, they pick a ticket out, they name the person on live stream on Facebook. Tell us about where you were at and how you learned about your selection as one of, because I think, just to let people know the odds, if I remember right, this year there were over 5,000 qualified entrants.
Oh, wow, that many?
And I think there were approaching 25,000 tickets. So on average, people have around 5 tickets in the hopper, enough so that I think they're moving to electronic because they can't get a big enough hopper to fit more tickets into. But I think your ticket would have been one out of around 25,000. We're getting into like winning the lottery territory, literally.
It used to be a Home Depot bucket that they drove.
Really?
Yeah. Back in the day, it was a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah.
So I was at the local running club here called the WSER Wolfpack.
You bet. Yeah, seen the Boone.
Yeah, you've seen
Willie McBride. You bet.
Yeah, they host the Lotto Party at Lucky Lab.
Yeah.
Every year, and it's just go in there and watch all the names get called. And I've been to the actual lottery in Auburn.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember what year.
How was that experience?
It is amazing experience. They have it in the theater, and you have
little auditorium at the high school, right?
Yeah. They have it there, and they put you on the stage. They put it on the stage, and you see all these. The thing about the lottery open is every 5 or 10 pulls.
Yeah.
Somebody famous from ultra running pulls your ticket.
Awesome.
You might have Ann Trayson pull it. You might have Gordy pull it. You might have Jim Walmsley pull your ticket. They'll get up there and they'll get somebody famous to pull the tickets.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, and the most deafening sound I've ever heard is from somebody in Auburn getting their name called.
Yeah.
The place just goes crazy loud, and you have to run down. It's like The Price is Right. You have to run down from the balcony or wherever you're at. You have to run down up on the stage. It's just like everybody has like wet eyes because that person got in, and it's a hometown boy, and it's just a great feeling when that happens. So go back to Lucky Lab.
Which is a restaurant bar here in Portland.
Yeah, it's downtown. It's Lucky Lab. They host a lot of ultra running events, and just a great place to gather after runs or after trail runs or even after races. So a shout out to Lucky Lab.
Yeah, bet.
And so they hosted host this lotto party, and when you get your name called, I didn't hear my name called.
Really?
Yeah. Katie Christensen got her name called before me, 4 tickets before me, 4 entries before me. Katie Christensen got her name pulled, and the Lucky Lab just blew up. Oh my God, Katie, you're in! You're in! And the greatest thing about the Lucky Lab is our WSER Wolfpack is they bring you to the front of the WSER Wolfpack. They bring you to the front of the bar.
Yeah.
And they put you in a chair and they raise you up.
Amazing.
So they were raising Katie up, and we're all just screaming and crying. Oh my gosh, she got in.
Yeah.
And the significance of them raising you up in the chair is because it takes a community to support you.
I love it.
So we are here for you as a community to support you getting into the race.
I love it.
And that was just I love that. So Katie was just in the chair, and she comes back down and she sits down, and I'm talking with Katie because she's sitting right next to me. And I go, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. And then I just hear, oh, Mikey. And I go, what? Called your name. I go, what? They called my name. I didn't even hear it. He goes, they called your name. He goes, you guys are kidding. No, they called your name. They get up here. They pulled me up, and they put me in a chair, and I go, oh my God. I didn't even hear it. That was the best feeling in the world. But shortly after, of course, there's a lot of chit chat because and then Mike Tyler, he's from Salem. He got in, so there was 3 of us at the opening that got in, and we're like, oh my gosh,
like 200 slots in the world.
Yeah, and then Tyler Green was there, so he's like, I can help you guys. I can coach you guys. He was great.
He finished second last year.
Yeah, Tyler
at Western
Green
States. You bet.
And he would have broken Jim Walmsley's previous year's record if it wasn't for Jim Walmsley getting the new world record.
Right.
So, anyways, Tyler was just like, he's like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you. That day, or right after the opening, I was driving home and I had tears just streaming down my face so rapidly. I was just like crying like a baby all the way home. I just like all these thoughts going through my head, all these just amazing feelings. Just my whole like ultra running career is just flashing through me on my drive home. And I was like, this is like the best feeling in the world, and I couldn't believe this was happening to me. It was like winning the lottery. Truly, It was.
Yeah,
I was, and really, that day, that drive home, when I'm feeling low, or when I'm going through that pain cave at Western, and I know I will, I'm going to remember that drive home. That's going to bring me out of it. That climb up to Devil's Thumb, which kicked my ass during training camp. I'm gonna flash back to that drive home, and it's gonna get me up that hill.
Amazing! What an amazing story! So excited for you. Tell us about training. What has that looked like? Is there anything you've done unique, or are you just relying on 10 years or so of experience, 7 years of ultra experience that are leading you towards Western States?
I've never had a coach before. Never.
Okay.
I mean, I've always, for the 100Ks and for the 50 milers, for the 50Ks, I've always just trained myself, and I've never even studied a plan. I knew how many miles I wanted to hit a week, but going into this 100, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. So I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I'm not leaving anything unturned. I'm going to check all the boxes. So I reached out to Nate Moore, which Nate has seen my whole running career. He's been there from my first trail race with him to just watching me develop throughout the years. And I thought, well, I could go hire a coach who doesn't know me from anything, has never seen me before, never seen me run. I'd rather go find somebody or get somebody who knows me right from the beginning, who knows what type of person I am and what kind of training I need. And he wrote out a plan for me. He says, we're going to get you through this. We're going to get you this. And you know what? I'm going to pace you wherever you want me to pace you. So I got my own coach pacing me. He's going to pace me from Forest Hill to the far side of the river to Wreckage.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Anything any takeaways from adopting that coached training plan that you didn't do historically? Different types of workouts, the number of preparatory races, anything that you would highlight as kind of key for this training block for you?
Well, I was already signed up before the lottery opened. I was already signed up for Black Canyon because that was going to be my next year 2022 qualifier. So I was already signed up. I was already paid for. So I said, Nate, want me to run this race? He goes, oh yeah, go get. That's a lot of downhill. You're going to need it. Go run that race. Just don't get injured. Don't get hurt. Don't race it. Just do it as a training.
Is that about a month ago? About 2 months out?
No. Black Canyon was in February.
Yeah, that's right.
He said,
I was thinking of Cocodona. Yeah.
Don't race it. Just go and get the miles on your feet, and so we can get you back to training the next day. And then, he slowly built me up from, 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 miles, leading me up.
a week.
Yeah,
In
not
your
a
training
well,
plan.
in months' time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we mix it up with some speed. We mix it up with some downhills. We mix it up with some hill repeats.
Yeah.
And still, even this week, he still has me doing hill repeats.
Okay. So you're not on a full taper yet. You're doing some maybe reduce the volume, but you're
I've reduced the volume. Well, last Saturday was my long run,
okay.
and I made it a night run.
I think I saw that 22 miles or so in Forest Park, maybe a little more. Yeah.
Yeah. And I made it a night run just to get my night gear all set.
Nice.
And then I did Angel's Rest the day after, so I got the good back to back with some climbing in there. And then this week has just been another week, really. I think I'm going to start tapering coming on Saturday because Saturday's not going to be my long run. Saturday's going to just be, and it sounds crazy, but Saturday's only going to be 13 miles.
Only. That's right. How are you feeling about your fitness overall? How do you feel prepared?
I feel in great shape.
Awesome.
I am not injured. I feel strong. My hiking's strong. My power walk's strong. My quads are amazing right now. I have downhills are my jam, and they have to be.
Yeah. Net downhill.
22,000 net downhill.
Net downhill.
18,000 of climb. But I did the training run, and
Yeah, tell us about that. What is the training run?
Training run is 3 days of the Western States Trail. It's 70 miles of the course. You don't see the first 31 miles as they just now, I think, opened up the escarpment.
They're still in the snow.
Yeah, so that not many people get up there to the escarpment because of the snow, and they even open it up. When I went to the training run, I tried to go up to the escarpment, just to see
in Squaw Valley.
Yeah, in Squaw Valley, Olympic Valley, and I tried to just to do the 4 mile hike.
I've done that run,
yeah, and they didn't. They had the road closed off. So you do from Robinson Flat the first day to Forest Hill, which is 32 miles.
Okay.
And then the next day you do 18 miles. You do from Forest Hill to Rucky Chucky, but then they don't allow you to go across the river. You have to go 2 mile climb up to a place called Driver's Flat, which is a hard 2 mile climb. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like comparative to Green Gate, the climb to Green Gate. And then the next day you do from Green Gate to the finish line. And each of those days I loved it. I loved all 3 days. All 3 days were amazing. My legs felt so good. My quads felt so good. There's a lot of downhill. There's quite a bit of downhill, and there's some climbing too. But it was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna see how enjoyable it is in 100-degree heat.
Yeah.
But it was very, very enjoyable.
First time on those trails?
No. I've ran Way Too Cool, and Way Too Cool. It was like from Green Gate to Auburn. You run part of the Way Too Cool trail,
Awesome.
which I remembered.
And how do you feel like that familiarity will help you on race day for sure?
Yeah, it's a big, because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know what hill's coming. You know where you could push, where you need to lay back. I am so glad I got to hike Devil's Thumb. I am so glad I got to hike up to Michigan Bluff. I am super glad I got to experience a lot of it at a much easier pace, conversational pace, because I'm usually chatting with somebody on the trails, and that's, I just love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It makes the miles go by, and you learn about somebody's life in a day. And I met some really good friends that are probably going to be lifelong friends. The last day, shout out to Jeff. I believe his name was Jeff, but Jeff paced me from Green Gate to Pointed Rocks, and we chatted, and I was like 3 feet from him the whole way.
Yeah.
He was a great pacer, and we just chatted. And then this girl, Vivian, I remember her and her boyfriend distinctly, is because she, 3 weeks ago on the train run, she was on the waiting list.
Wow.
She was on the waiting list. She's still training her ass off and on the waiting list. It wasn't until like a week ago or 2 weeks ago she came off the waiting list.
Oh my gosh.
I texted her. I messaged her. I said, congratulations. And she was like, thank you so much.
Because after the lottery, they pick, 20 or 30 names that are a waiting list.
Yeah.
And if people are unable to run for some reason in the race and they come out of the race, then they'll pull someone off the waiting list, right?
Yeah, so there was like a few people that I was like really rooting for to come off the waiting list, which Vivian, which I think she was like number 3 on the waiting list. And then here's a great story. Bruce, I want to say Bruce Nolan.
Okay.
Bruce Nolan, I met at the last day of the training camp too. Bruce is probably like in his 60s. He is the oldest racer that's going to be racing
Really?
at Westerns, and he's also from Oregon.
Awesome.
He just got off the waiting list.
Oh, my word.
He just got off the waiting list, and he's going to be the oldest person at Western this year.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Plans for race day? Anything you're doing differently? Do you have a strategy in mind, or is it just now that you've been on the trails, you kind of have a feel for what's going to happen in the moment? But any strategy that you worked on with your coach?
Take the Escarpment easy.
Okay. First 4 miles, you got what?
Take that
1,000 or 2,000 feet elevation gain or more.
Yeah, you're going to do like 3,500
Yeah.
the first 4.5 miles. And then the first 50K, take it easy. I'm planning on doing a 7-hour 50K, which is a long time for a normal 50K.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, 7, 7, and 7, that's 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm planning on doing a 7-hour 50K. My goal time is, I'm not doing 24 hours. I don't think I can. My goal time is in between 27, 28 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah. So easy 50K, 7 hours. Easy next 50K, 8 hours. Last 50K, 8 hours.
Yeah.
So that'll get me to where I need to be. And like I said, once I'm at Forest Hill, I know it's just like butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I pick up my coach Nate, he's just going to motivate me for the next 20 miles till I see my friend Carly. And here's the greatest thing about Carly. Carly's my other pacer. Way back when, like 5 years ago, we made a promise to each other. If either one of us gets sent to Western States, we're going to be there for them. And that day when when the lottery opened, she texts me, says, "Where do you want me at?"
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
5-year promise.
Yep.
She moved.
She moved with her family to Idaho. I moved with my family to Oregon, and she came down for a few races last year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Any new thoughts on gear or nutrition that you're excited about for Western States?
No, the plan is to keep it simple.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Goose and aid station foods. I am blessed to have two crews, A crew and a B crew.
Okay.
The B crew is going to go meet me at the first 2 aid stations where we can get aid. I believe it's I can't think of it right now. And then my girlfriend and Carly and her husband are going to meet me at Robinson Flat and Forest Hill and Pointed Rocks.
Okay. And what age group will you be running in at Western States?
Masters.
Masters. Okay. Awesome.
B50s.
Anything you're nervous or scared about running Western?
Yes. The heat.
Tell us about that. And have you done anything to prep for that?
I've been heat training probably 2 weeks before the training camp, and I've hit the sauna probably 20 times since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you do it here in cool Oregon.
Yeah, cool Oregon. Yeah. I've hit the sauna every day since last Thursday, 30 minutes a day. Yeah. It doesn't get any easier. 160 degree heat does not get any easier. But I'm looking, and I'm asking my girlfriend Missy every day, because she has this like amazing weather app on her phone. She gets these 10-day forecasts, and Auburn's looking to be like 90 degrees.
Be a huge help, right?
Well, compared to Oregon right now,
It's still hot.
It's still hot,
But not 160.
it's not 160. It's not 114 in the canyons, which I've heard. Those are horror stories like that. I'm hoping that my legs and my heart will get me through it. Oh, I have no doubt. And knock on wood, I've never had to chase a cutoff time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you could travel back in time from having finished Western States, what would you tell yourself now if you were Michael Morales, Western States finisher? What would you tell yourself 10 days before, 8 days before?
Believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it, because there's certain aspect of when you going into races, like, can I do this? Am I good enough? Will I finish? It's 100 miles and big thing, but Western States is a once in a lifetime thing, so it kind of scares me to not be able to finish. And I think that scared fat kid, that part of me saying that I never want to go back there is going to help me, saying that this is a once in a lifetime dream.
Yeah.
That even if it takes me 29, 59, I will not stop. I will finish.
Yeah. I love that message. How have you balanced work? You mentioned a relationship. How have you balanced relationships, work, with this amazing preparation for Western States? How do you do that?
Well, I have this big calendar in my office, and I put real big 100-mile weekend. So everybody comes in. Everybody at work knows that this is my weekend. I've taken the time off. This is my weekend. And they ask me all the time, how's it going? How's your legs feeling?
Yeah.
Are you feeling up to it? So I'm glad that I get to share that with the people from work, because none of them are runners or even understand how epic this is.
Yeah.
It is pretty epic. And my girlfriend, Missy, she has been amazing in giving up family time, giving up date nights, giving up, all the weekends, giving up just being tired all the time. And she has been 100% supportive and just been like, I know this is what you've dreamed about, and I know this is once in a lifetime, and I know I'm going to get my boyfriend back here real soon. She's counting the days, and she's my number one crew member.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we honor and acknowledge all those who sacrifice a lot for us to go out and live these dreams, right? Because it is a sacrifice of time. When do you tend to balance your training on weekdays and weekends? How do you do that in such a way that you can do the rest of your life?
Well, I usually get up at 3:30 to start my runs, and I'm usually at work by 7. And off at 3:30, 4, and do some bank running.
Mm-hmm.
And really, Saturdays are only made for one thing.
Distance.
Distance.
Long, slow distance.
Yeah. It's been really, really quite the journey, and I got to meet so many other people along the way that I just say, hey, what are you training for? Oh, you're training for Beaverhead? Oh, you got some miles to do. You want to come run some miles with me? Oh, you're training for Mount Hood 50? Hey, do you want to come run some miles? Oh, you're training for Smith Rock? Come on, let's go run some miles.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of using people in that aspect. I said, you're going to need the miles anyways. Let's go run this. And then, my friend Katie, she's also in Western, and we've been kind of like bouncing off each other and running with each other too.
Yeah. How do you think, you've mentioned some of the real sacrifices that family and friends and partners and loved ones experience. Are there things that you think they've benefited from your commitment to trail running? How would you define that?
Missy has benefited by me having a lot of snacks because I do go through a lot of snacks. So she's benefited at that. I do tend to eat a lot.
Yeah.
But she's really my only family right now, and that my other families are in California, so she gets like the brunt of everything.
Yeah. Bless her heart for being that support for you. Some of the takeaways you've had from your trail running experience, what do you wish you would have known 7 years ago when you started trail running, that any advice you might share with someone who's just getting started, thinking about getting started? What do you wish you would have known when you started trail running?
Wow. That's a good question. There's time. There's time. You don't have to do everything all at once. There's time. You can sit back and enjoy the ride. Enjoy where you're at right there. A lot of times I was just wanting to do everything all at once. I wanted to run all the races all at once. I wanted to do, like you said, I have 40. I got a lot of ultra cyno stuff. I don't need to run all the races. I need to run special races. I got some special races I still want to do. I tell all my friends that in July, I'm officially ultra retired.
Oh, really?
But we all know that's not true.
Okay.
I would love to do Hurt 100 one day.
Sure.
And I really want to do JFK 50.
Yes.
And Comrades has been on the back of my mind.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comrades.
Amazing. So those are your bucket list races?
Oh, besides rim to rim to rim. I haven't done that yet.
I had a chance to do that once. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic. Well, those are some amazing bucket list races. Those are epic. Every one of them. And I have confidence you'll complete all of those. What resources would you recommend to an aspiring trail runner or an experienced trail runner? What are some voices, some individuals, podcasts, etc., books? What resources do you tap into that have been helpful for you in your journey?
I really like on podcasts. I like Andy Jones Wilkins. He's like a plethora of knowledge. That guy is like so knowledgeable. I think really a good resource for trail runners is find your nutrition. Find what fuels you. Everybody's a little bit different, but if you're going to be successful at this, you got to feed your stomach. And if you can find what is going to feed your fuel yourself, you're going to be successful, and you're going to be, tapped in. That's one of the main things I can't focus on enough is it takes fuel to do these miles.
Absolutely. You mentioned some mental fuel and some caloric fuel as well. What is a myth or belief about trail running that people have that you would like to debunk or dissuade people from believing? What's a myth that's out there, either in the trail running community or from people who you talk to who aren't trail runners?
That you have to be fast to keep up. A lot of people think, I gotta be fast. I gotta be fast to be a trail runner. You don't. You have to be consistent. You really don't have to be as fast. We're not all Jim Walmsley. We're not. You can just be yourself, still come and run the trails with me. I might be a faster road runner, but when we get to the trails, we all slow down a bit. We're all a few minutes slower.
Yeah.
So no, you don't have to be fast. You don't have to be talented. We could just talk and have fun and just have a good time and not have to worry about our watch all the time. And we could stop at aid stations and eat some watermelon and get to know the person we're running with. That's the biggest thing. I think you can make a lot of good friends, and you don't have to be fast.
Does that ever take you back to those bike rides to Seal Beach? Is there a similarity between those two experiences?
There's definitely a mental challenge that you just keep on going until you're finished.
Till you get to the beach.
Yeah, until
with
you
all
get
your
to the
buddies.
beach. Yeah. That's where I draw from, is that you're not finished until you're finished. Mom's not gonna come pick you up, so you better. She doesn't even know you're here.
Yeah.
You got to finish. And that's the whole thing about on trails, right? Is if you put yourself out there, you're 22 miles into a day, a trail run or a trail race. No one's going to come and get you.
Right.
No one's going to come get you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get airlifted out of there, so you got to get yourself out of there. I got a great story. This is my friend Tracy. She was doing her first 50K, and she got to the 26 aid station. Not very much to go left, but she rips off her bib and she throws it at the guy. She says, "I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I don't want any more. I'm done." And the guy goes, "Well, you could be done if you want, but you can stay here and help us pack in. We're still got to hike out of here 6 miles, so you can still be done, but you're still hiking." He goes, "You son of a bitch, give me that bib."
I gotta go anyway.
And she walked off cursing him with her bib in her hand. Like I said, you got to get yourself back to where you started.
Now you mentioned that really strong mindset of finishing. A reality in ultras and in trail running sometimes is that the body or the mind doesn't cooperate. Have you had any experiences where you've had a DNF, or what we know in the ultra world as a did not finish? Have you had that experience? If so, what was the moment like when you made that decision, and what have you learned from that experience?
There was a 50-miler that I was doing. I can't remember which one it was. It was here in Portland. And right around mile 16, I was going down really rocky trail, and I was trying to go a little faster than I probably should have. And I tripped, and I pretty much Supermaned in my head. My head hit this big boulder and kind of stopped me from rolling over the cliff, but I got a concussion and I got blood just all down my face, and I just got up and I didn't know where I was, so I kind of just started walking in that general vicinity.
Wow.
And people saw the blood and just said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just going to walk into the next aid station." So I walked into the next aid station, and that's where I saw Eugene. And he says, "Mikey, just sit down, relax. Let's see how the doctor check you out." He checked me out. He says, "You're probably concussed right now. You probably just need to say, well." And I said, "Well, that was my ex-wife. She was doing the 50K, and I was doing the 50-miler." And I said, "Well, tell you what, I'm just going to wait for my wife. She'll be here shortly.
Yeah,
she's doing the 50K, and I'll just wait for her, and I'll see how I feel after that." So like an hour went by, and I didn't see Carrie. So I just got up and I started walking down the trail looking for Carrie, because I know she was going to be here. And
back upstream, back
the way I came.
Yeah.
And she goes, "What are you doing here?" I says, "I'm looking for you." She goes, "What happened?" Says, "I got a boo-boo," and I lifted up my head and I had a big knot in my head. She goes, "Oh my God." Says, "Well, do you mind if I just help you finish your race?" She goes, "No, let's go."
Awesome.
So I DNF'd the 50-miler, but I kind of paced my ex-wife with the 50K, and they were good with letting me go.
I love that. That's awesome. A couple of let's see here. What question did you think I would ask you today that I haven't asked you?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't have any expectations at all. I think we covered a lot of my recent past life.
We uncovered a lot. Well, I've got a handful of rapid fire questions.
I hope I wasn't too boring.
I've been amazed. I've been enthralled every second. So I've loved your story. So thank you for sharing that. A couple rapid fire questions.
Sure.
About 8 or 10 of these, then I got a few concluding questions for you, Michael. Favorite shoes?
I just got some Speedgoat 5s, the brand new Speedgoat 5s, and I kind of like them a lot.
Hokas?
I'm a big Brooks fan. I have probably about 14 pairs of Brooks in my closet, all kinds of Brooks, and I'm a huge Brooks. But I was at the aid station. It's a shoe club. It's a shoe store in Auburn.
Yeah.
Where they have the where I was last month for the Western States training runs, and they talked me into buying a pair of Speedgoats, and I wore them for the 2 days of the training runs, and I fell in love with them. So I might be wearing the Speedgoats for Western.
Awesome. And don't let me forget one Auburn question for you before we get through these.
Yeah.
Favorite packaged race nutrition. So this is going to be not real food, but what's your go-to nutrition in a race for calories, easy calories?
Right now, it's the salted caramel goo.
Okay. Awesome. Favorite real food, race nutrition?
Watermelon.
Anti-chafe? Yes, no? What brand?
Luckily for me, I don't chafe.
Great.
But if I get a hot spot on my heel or something, I'll use squirrel nut butter.
SNB, amazing. Pack or belt, handheld? What's carrying your liquid?
Right now, it's going to be Ultimate Direction. It's going to be a pack and a bladder.
Pack and a bladder. Yeah. Okay. Toe socks, regular socks?
I'm a regular socks, usually a wool sock, because of the water.
Yeah. Favorite pro trail runner to follow?
I love Ann Trayson, but she doesn't run anymore. I love Keely Henninger because she's just an amazing runner. We all love Tim Tollefson, because he's just my age and he's awesome. I have so many. But I would say the most exciting racer right now is Courtney. She is just smiles just like me, eats whatever she wants, drinks whatever she wants, and she's amazing. So yeah, I really like Courtney, and I like Casey, and just funny story. Let me just tell you this quick story real quick. So I was at the Auburn aid station in Auburn, and they had a film night there, and I was talking to this girl, and we're talking about races. Oh, how we got into Western States, and she says, "Oh yeah, I ran Bandera 100K, and I got in that way." I said, "You did? I thought that was the golden ticket race." I said, "You couldn't have won that. Allie Pell won that." She goes, "Oh no, I'm Allie Pell." I go, "Are you kidding me? I'm sitting here talking to like 30 minutes to this elite runner. You're Allie Pell? Oh my gosh!"
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I saw something online, an experience you had down in Auburn. You mentioned Ann Trayson, that you had a chance to hold one of her belt buckles. Tell us about the significance of the belt buckle. What is a belt buckle? Why is it important? And tell us about that experience you had in Auburn.
That was a long time ago. I was doing a race in Auburn. Don't remember the race, but I went into what was the Auburn Running Company, and there was this guy behind the counter. His name was Pablo, and I was just being, I'm an ultra fan, so I was just going in there and I was looking at Ann Trayson's Cougars. She has so many.
Those are the trophies.
Yeah, that was the actual first place trophy you get when you win Western States. So I was looking at Ann Trayson's Cougars, and then I was looking at her Leadville trophies, and then like up behind the counter, it had all her belt buckles, and I go, "Ooh, I love this one. Ooh, look at this one over here." And the guy, Paolo, was like even a bigger fan. He was just like, "Oh yeah, she got this one on this, or she got this one on this one," and they're just like it was like a Ann Trayson like monument because she's local. And Apollo, he pulls out a buckle and he hands it to me. He goes, here. You go, really? I can touch it? He goes, yeah, grab it. Here. And he let me hold Ann Trayson's belt buckle. I don't remember what year it was, but it said her name on it, and it said her finishing time on the back, and it was like this beautiful silver buckle. And he goes, pretty cool, huh? He goes, yeah, I want one. He goes, well, work hard.
So what is the significance of the belt buckle? Do only the winners get a belt buckle?
You get a belt buckle if you finish the race.
Okay.
You get a bronze belt buckle, and every belt buckle is custom made, and you get your name on the back and your stamp with your time on it. And you get the silver belt buckle if you run the race under 24 hours.
Okay.
And it's sterling silver. And you get the big cougar, black cougar, if you win outright.
Yeah.
So here's a great story. Paolo let me take he took a picture of me with Ann Trayson's belt buckle.
Yeah.
So when I went to the training camp just a few weeks ago, and I pulled up, so this guy Paolo, who used to work at the Auburn running store, was just a clerk guy, a shoe guy, now opened up his own running store called the Aid Station, where everything flows out of the Aid Station. He has a pub there, and what I loved about the Aid Station, not to plug them too much, but it's basically a trail running store. That whole store is all about trail running. So Paulo now owns the Aid Station, and then when I went in there, I go, "Hey, do you remember me?" He goes, "No, who are you?" And he goes, "Well, you took this picture of me." He goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you." He goes, "I'm running Western States this year." And he goes, "Oh my God, you got in.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?" And he goes, "Oh, it was like a long time ago." And he goes, "Oh my God, you said you were going to get in and you got in." I said, "Yeah, I'm here." He says, "Oh," and then I saw him like 3 days later at the last aid station at the training camp. He goes, "You're doing amazing." And that was just a great kind of like a circle of events that happened. That was really great.
Michael, the name of the podcast is Trail Success. What does trail success mean to you? How would you define trail success for you?
Being happy, finishing what you start. That's a successful day. Run happy and finish what you start.
Okay. What about trail running inspires you, and who do you hope to inspire by your trail running?
What inspires me is my body can do a lot more than what I could tell it to do. These legs, these twin little motors, gets me so far that just a few years ago I didn't think I could ever get this kind of a distance, and now these little twin motors gets me so far, and I just love to see how far they can take me. And I hope, I'm a mid-pack runner, and I hope that people can see that, if you have a dream and you have a desire and you have a passion for it, you should follow that. And this since December 5th, this last 6 months has been the best time of my life. Truly the best time of my life. I've met so many friends, and so many people know who I am just because I'm running this race. I'm doing a podcast just because I've got into this race, and it doesn't change of who I am, but it has changed the fact that people are coming up to me and says, "Oh wow, this is so awesome! I can't wait to to watch you finish. I can't wait to I want to." It inspires them to go out and run and go out and train, go out and follow their dreams. That's what I love the most.
Well, as someone who's watching you along this path and having followed you through some ultra channels over the past couple of years and now seeing you in Western States, it inspires me. For those of us who dream about getting our ticket pulled for Western States someday, you're a living example of someone who has started out at the beginning doing your first 5K and building over time and showing that grit, that perseverance, that courage to keep going out and training, show up on those start lines when you're not sure if you're going to be able to finish, and then have the courage and the bravery to finish those and the persistence there. It's inspiring to me. It's inspiring to all of us. So I want to say a big thank you for, really selfishly for myself, to have this conversation with you. I've learned a lot. I've definitely been inspired, and I hope that the listeners of the Trail Success Podcast will be equally inspired as I have been. So a big thank you to you, Michael Morales, for being on the show today. Quick question. Where can people find you online, and how can they follow you at Western States?
Well, I'm in the witness protection program, so you can't.
Okay.
I don't know. Just go follow me on Strava, Mikey Morales.
Okay.
Instagram, Mikey runs Mikey Run Mikey.
Yeah.
And I'm on Facebook too. Mikey Morales.
Wonderful. So everyone go and follow Michael online and keep track of him.
Yeah, I'm Bib 283.
Bib 283. My understanding is there'll be live streaming of most of the race. Or you can follow you on Twitter or other tracking. You're wearing a spot device. What's the tracking of the event?
Yeah, they're gonna track you. They're gonna put live trackers on your feet, okay. And Billy Yang is going to do a live 33-hour live virtual live streaming of the whole thing.
Amazing.
I think Dylan Bowman and Corinne Malcolm are going to be kind of hosted at Plaster High, and Billy's going to be running. He's going to go to it's hard. There's not a whole lot of Wi-Fi out there in the mountains, but he's going to do his best to cover everything live. It's really going to be really great.
I love it. Bib 283.
283, I believe. Yeah.
283. Any last message you'd like to share with the listeners today?
Thanks so much for having me. I hope I didn't wasn't too boring for you.
It was amazing. Every second was amazing, and thank you for sharing some really inspiring and challenging experiences in your life that have inspired me and will help me, and I'm sure other people, be inspired in the future. So thank you so much for being here on the podcast. Really appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, I'm thrilled at the conversation we just had with Michael Morales. Again, seeing a bit of a trail running unicorn who got into the Western States Lottery, but his experiences and history are well beyond that. He's an every athlete like we are, right? Setting goals to do amazing things, making sacrifices, dedicating yourself early in the morning, in the evening, on the weekends, to achieving a goal. And that is a universal challenge that we all face in life. So thank you for your example, for your inspiring stories, and sharing that with everybody here. Thanks for joining us on the Trail Success Podcast. Again, we want to focus on trail running gear and training and inspiration. We've heard a little bit of all of that today. And for the everyday athletes out there who want to get on the trails and have the amazing experiences that Michael has had, that others have every day, we invite you to get out on the trail and to be inspired by those trails and inspire others. So with that, we'll say farewell for today, and thank you, Michael Morales, for joining us on the Trail Success Podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.